Hello, folks. We are live, and sorry about that. We did have some technical issues with Facebook. YouTube seemed to have been working okay, but Facebook was glitching out on us, and I had to do some magic in the background, but it seems that we are live now. How you guys doing?
Well, we're doing great. Thanks for the magic trick.
Yeah.
This is not easy. I know that.
Well, especially now, I'm totally exhausted, so my mental capacity is very, very low. But so I'm surprised I was able to get this working on time.
Yeah, Juan just came back from leading a workshop in Arcadia, and he had his first sunrise shoot in since
6 months.
COVID, right? 6 months. So he was a little shocked to get up so early. But
Yeah.
it's good to have you back, and it's
Thank
good
you.
to see you. And this is going to be a great show. It's all about fast-paced action. And Alec, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm excited to report we just hit our 2,500th member on our Facebook page. So that's a pretty big milestone and a cause for celebration. So welcome to anyone who is joining us for the first time. And thank you to all of our members who are getting the word out and that people are joining us, and spreading the word, and our membership's growing. So very exciting, Rick.
Oh man, absolutely. And as Jim Griggs says, this is one of the most he's a member of a lot of groups, and he says this is one of the most active groups out there. And I'm on it every day. I know a lot of the moderators are on every day. It is really amazing to see the work that the photographers are doing. So we have another great show. It's today's topic is fast-paced action. Before we get to this, Juan, Alec, you want to say anything else? Or you want to get right to the images?
Well, I guess I want to reiterate how tired I am. I got 3 hours of sleep last night, and I literally got back home a few hours ago from teaching at the Out of Acadia conference in Acadia. So if I seem a little bit slower on the take and a little bit with less energy, you know why. You guys know why that is.
Okay, well, you're forgiven. So
Okay.
we'll try to keep you awake. We'll try to keep you awake with these
Yeah, I hope
amazing
if you see me going like this, just yell my
okay.
name or something.
Okay, we need like some kind of signal. I don't have like one of those horns, But so anyway, let's get going here. I'm sharing my screen. Is that correct?
You give me a second here. Go ahead. Yes.
Okay, so again, today's topic is, fast-paced action. And, we do this every week for a lot of reasons. One, we have a good time doing it, but also for all our members, we really want to share the amazing pictures of our members. We want to inspire our members, want to motivate our members, and all of us, I think, are growing by looking at amazing pictures. And we love giving these topics because it's kind of like giving an assignment. So in this time of COVID, people are going back to their hard drives and may not be able to go out and photograph a beautiful scene like this, like Rob Smith did. Here's our banner photo this week, and we change, by the way, the banner photo every Wednesday. So they're going through their images, reprocessing the images, and having like a really good time doing it. And I'm having a great time, and all of us are having a great time doing it. For those of you who are telling your friends about our great project here, you can watch and rewatch all of our shows on phototherapy on YouTube. And the link is down there at the bottom, so you can take a screenshot of that if you want to. But I don't know, Alec, what's the percentage you think of people watching us on YouTube versus Facebook, if you had to guess without looking at the numbers?
I'd say the majority are on Facebook, but tonight may be a good use to try YouTube because we are having some intermittent Facebook issues, but the YouTube feed is fine. So if Rick has the address there. If you're having trouble today on Facebook, give YouTube a try.
Yeah,
Cool,
and actually
cool.
looking at the numbers, Rick, from last week and this week, we're starting to see a lot more people watching live on YouTube. So like right now we're at about 50-50, 50 on YouTube, 50% on YouTube, 50% on Facebook. So, which is good. I think that as we've mentioned in the past, that you get a better quality stream on YouTube, so you can actually see the images better.
Right. And thank you. And for our new members, you could ask questions. Alec is our moderator here. Juan and I critique the pictures, and Alec is our moderator here. So if you have questions, type them in the chat on Facebook and on YouTube, and we'll try to answer them the best we can. Now, usually Juan and I the moderators don't show our pictures. But I thought I'd take a little liberty here and share some of our moderators' pictures, like Jim Griggs. Jim is very active. Juan, we just had to postpone our Bosque workshop, right? Which was scheduled for this year.
Yeah, we just had to cancel that and push it off to, we were kind of being a little optimistic, hoping that we would be able to run the workshop. We're dying to get out in the field, but, all signs point to, it's probably not a good idea. So, yeah, we just canceled it this week, and we're looking forward to 2021.
Yeah, definitely. And Alec, I think you and Linda and Tom Reese. I don't know if Tom is here, and I don't know who else is signed up. But anyway, we're going to be doing that. This is Jim Griggs' picture from Bosque. I think it's a pretty cool. We're not going to critique. One, let's not critique our our moderators' pictures. We'll just go through them quickly. I just wanted to share with you some of the pictures. So I think this is a great peak of action shot. But Juan, what do you think of that little splash in the back?
Oh yeah, it does give you that sense of motion in the scene and tells you where the bird is coming from. It looks like to me that it's trying to take off, right? Because it is running across the water. Because when these guys are coming in for landing, they're kind of more vertical oriented than horizontal.
Yeah, but I love this shot. I love the gesture, wings up. It got the eye in focus. Jim also did this, a nice panning shot, and I like that. Right? I like his suggestion, shoot for stride.
Yep.
Is Jim here, by the way, Alec?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, look at the catch light in the eye. So this is a pretty good, I like this panning shot. And Juan, I found this shot on the web. I think this is an amazing shot of adding action to a still picture.
Yeah, that's from one of my workshops in Cuba. And one of the big things that we do in Cuba is photograph the old cars. Everybody loves the old cars, right? And sometimes when we get out there early in the morning, we're able to go out and find a really cool spot with not that many cars on the road and get shots like this.
Yeah, this is a beauty. And you need your camera on a tripod and a slow shutter speed. And you and I are going to be teaching this next year, hopefully in March when we do our workshop down there.
Yeah, let's keep our fingers crossed for sure that we'll get to do that.
Yeah, but this is a really nice shot. I like the composition. The main subject is off center. Now, I don't know, for the new members, I don't know if you know this, but Juan is really good at action photography. And there's a sloth that lives in Costa Rica that actually moves faster than a cheetah running at top speed. So Juan, I think he used the flash and a 10,000th of a second to freeze the action here. But I thought we'd have some fun. But seriously, Juan look at this shot. I hope you don't mind me pulling these off your website.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
But I love, talk about gesture and the background and the using the fast shutter speed to, get those dots of water in there. I think this is like a really cool shot.
Thank you. Yeah, these bears are so much fun, and the place where we're at shooting these bears is we get to know these bears. I've been there a number of years, and we've seen these bears grow. And when I photographed these bears the first time, they were little adolescents, and now they're getting bigger. They used to play a lot. They don't play as much anymore. So that's part of what I love doing. What I do is that I get to know these animals and see them grow up and see them move along in their life stages.
Well, my guess is that you had a sequence here and that you chose, maybe the peak of action or the best gesture. I look at the way the water's coming around here and down here and all this. And I like the composition. Lots of breathing room. Remember we were kidding Juan last week about a breathing room?
Yeah.
Look at all this nice breathing room around here. Another one of our moderators, Linda Marshall, sent this to me today. Nice action shot on the Lee River in Guilin, China. This fisherman was throwing his net. I love the mood. I love the feeling of this. We have Alec. This is pre-action, right, Alec?
Yeah, this is from Fossil Rim. And these two were getting ready to rumble at the beginning of mating season. So this just happens to be, I just kept firing, multiple, quick release of the shutter. And right after this, they broke ways and started wrestling one another for the affections of a young mate. So That's the seeing of eye to eye and the knocking together of the gloves before they go at it.
Well, I think that's a really cool shot, and considering it was taken in a wildlife center in Texas, but actually for our members, the truth is Alex did send me the after shot, but since it's a family show, I thought that maybe we shouldn't show it.
Not today.
Yeah,
and Phyllis Webster, another one of our moderators, really cool shot. Look at this peak of action. I think we have the equivalent of some drool coming out here. I don't know. What do you think? See this stuff?
Yeah, no, that's pretty. I mean, this is remarkable. You know, that catching that bull. I had no idea these guys jumped so high. That's incredible. You know, by the way, guys, I want to address something because we're seeing in the comments here. It does look like both YouTube and Facebook are having issues with bandwidth. You know, the image quality is kind of degraded a little bit, and people are seeing some pausing on both YouTube and Facebook. So it does seem to be something in the internet, not something that's really, you know, that we have control over. Just to let you know.
Right, but Juan, on the replay, right, we can post a different version. So if people go onto the YouTube channel later, they should be able to see it uninterrupted.
Well, I hope.
Okay.
Maybe just so many people. Maybe so many people are tuning in to see the action shots that we're like we're clogging YouTube and Facebook.
Yeah.
Getting back to Phyllis, I like the way she had the separation here of the subject, you know, against the background. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. Susan Salmon, who's not a moderator, but she's very active with the group. She took this action shot of me with her, with one of her apps. I forget. I think it was Quick Shot. I don't think this feature is available anymore in that, but I could be wrong, but I'll let you know. But taking the action shots is a lot of fun. Okay, so we got some of the fun out of the way. Now let's have some more fun. We're going to critique, comment, and discuss some of the pictures that we picked for this week's show. So this is a banner photo for a Facebook page, Rob Smith Nature Photography. Juan, what do you think?
Wow, this is pretty. It's amazing in two ways. The image is amazing. The shutter speed. And it's funny because I was just talking about this morning when we were out shooting sunrise, you know, along the water. I was telling people to try different exposure or shutter speed lengths, meaning, you know, 1 second, 2 second, 4 second exposures to see what the water would do depending on the movement of the water, how fast the water is moving, you know, when you're able to trip that shutter. Because you may like a different look to the water depending on that shutter length. And Rob here this is just so beautiful. I don't know, he doesn't have the settings, but my guess is that this is probably like, you know, half a second exposure or a quarter of a second, something like that, which is making the water so nice and creamy and smooth. And the other thing that I find amazing is that someone is surfing, you know, when it's 40 degrees out in Maine. That's absolutely crazy. I've seen them, and I think they're nuts.
Yeah. But you know what I like about it, too? You know, a lot of people, they get their ND filters or whatever, the cameras on the tripod, and they're just going for the slow shutter speed, and they don't concentrate so much on composition. And I think Rob did an amazing job, you know, composing this fast-paced action. So good for you. And I don't know what we don't know what the topic's going to be for next week, and we don't know what the banner photo is going to be, but just keep posting your cool images. Another Bosque Del Apache image, which I used to say Bosque until Juan corrected me, right? It's Bosque.
Yes, Bosque, yeah.
I think most people say Bosque, right?
Right.
But it is Bosque. So thanks for that. And there's a couple of things I like about this, not only the movement, but look over here. He gave Denise Ippolito credit for teaching him how to do this. And I am a big believer in giving credit where credit is due.
Yeah, this is cool, and you know it's something that we are seeing a lot more, right? This sort of intentional movement in the images, whether you do a slow shutter speed, which is then creating movement in the scene, or you are moving the camera as well to get some of these effects. And you know, we've all also heard about people zooming in while where you're taking a shot with a kind of a slower shutter speed. And it can create a lot of artistic, great effects. Like in Acadia this week, it's teaching people moving the camera with some of the reeds that are changing color on the water, and what it does create a kind of a very painterly image, almost like a Monet. And this is, it's kind of the same effect here that Mike did. Nicely done, doing that little shutter speed. And sometimes it doesn't take that much of a change in your shutter speed. This is probably not even a quarter of a second. This is probably like an eighth of a second or even a tenth of a second. You're going to be able to get this kind of movement. Yeah, even look at that, 1/25 of a second.
An option here would be, I love this. Some people do this with a camera on a tripod, so the background's sharp and the birds are blurred. So that's just an option. But I love his crop too. Juan, I'm really big on cropping.
Yeah.
And this is cropped in like the HD format, which I think is really cool. Okay, Vicky. Vicky did this. Susan and I have seen this, the crossing in Kenya. And I really like the way this guy is just like suspended in midair. We have this guy coming towards us. This might make a good shot in itself. I don't know if this guy is that much, but I like the backlight and the mist coming off the water and the splashes like in your shot, Juan. I think it's cool. Leap of faith. Well, she says that because there's a lot of crocodiles in the river, and not all these guys make it across. So the crocodiles are having happy hour sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, this is amazing, and getting the right shutter speed to be able to freeze that motion both in the water and that wildebeest coming down in midair. This is amazing, and think about it, these are pretty big creatures, and they're making these huge leaps coming down into the water. It's definitely a leap of faith in multiple ways, right? Because of the crocodiles, but also because it's such a large jump going in. And this is really neat. I love all the elements in there. The third wildebeest at the top doesn't add a lot, but I think it does give you. Yeah, I think it reinforces the story, right? Because we have the guy in the front, kind of like after the fact. We have the guy in the middle that's giving us, the peak of action, and then the guy all the way in the back giving us, a preview of what's going to happen next. So it is pretty cool.
Yeah, I like the tone of it, the mood and the feeling. We always say that it's the mood, it's the feeling, that's the most important thing. And it's kind of a lucky shot too, because Susan and I have been there where we've had to wait like more than an hour for this to happen. They're just not always like going, running across. So very, very cool. Okay, Steve has been here before. I was talking to Scott Kelby about noise in a picture. Not that this picture has noise. And we were saying like the only people who care about noise are photographers, right? And so in this picture, if we're going to critique it, we might say, well, it'd be a lot better with the top of the wing, the bird in the front, the top of the wing not cut off. But that's us speaking as photographers. Steve obviously loves this picture. I think it's a great interaction shot. It looks like this bird in the back is, trying to snatch that fish from the bird in the front. So I think it's a pretty cool action shot. Yes, I would like to see that wing in there, but still, I think it's a pretty cool shot, Steve.
Yeah, and I think he's right when, or someone the comments that the fish, the tern in the rear is trying to catch the tern in the front. These guys are pretty aggressive with each other in trying to steal each other's fish and with other birds as well. One tip, if you're anywhere near a nesting area of terns, cover your head. Because they'll come back and attack you.
Juan just gave a great tip. Susan and I, if she's listening, she'll confirm this. We were up in Iceland, and they have the Arctic terns there. And we're out there and they're flying around. So we get out of the van and we're photographing. And one dive bomb, I have my baseball cap on. It dived, it like poked through my cap, and I like blood coming down my face. So I'll try to find that.
It drew blood on you. That's incredible.
It drew blood. Wow. So Juan just gave, as usual, a very good naturalist tip. Here's another cool shot. Claude has been here before. Let's rumble. Alec, I think you mentioned rumbling before.
I did.
A pretty cool shot. Not an easy exposure to get, I think, with we have the dark feathers here. We have the light feathers here. We have the white in the background. I might add a little contrast to it, but other than that, he's shooting at Yeah, 1/2500th of a second. And he's shooting wide open, which will blur the background, which is a good idea.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. And I wonder what kind of behavior we're seeing here because, when does he say when this was taken? It says before the whole COVID pandemic thing. They do fight with each other, and especially when they're fighting over fish. But this could also be, and again, I wasn't there, I didn't see when it was taken, but this could also be a mating behavior. Eagles, when they're mating, and they will actually in midair lock talons and they tumble down to the ground.
Yeah.
And it's, sometimes they let go right before they hit the ground, but sometimes they hit the ground together. Yeah. But great action shot. I've never been able to get an image like this of these guys kind of with locked talons like that. So kudos, Claude. This is beautiful. Very nicely done.
This looks like a chicken on the ground.
I don't know what that is. Yeah.
It might be, we could ask him. I don't know if he's there, Alec, if it's at one of these rehabilitation centers. But anyway, it's a really cool shot. So I see this shot, and the first thing I said, it's like a little overexposed. But then I said, it looks like a painting. I mean, it's a little bright, it has like some movement to it. I think it's the colors. We have the green, the white, the yellow, the brown. Do you think it looks like a painting, Juan?
Yeah, I mean, that definitely looks like a painting. I think that the overexposure in the middle of the frame is a little distracting to me. So I would try to tone it down just a bit because, one of the things that does is that it like sequesters your eye and makes it hard for your eye to move around and look at all the details. This is really cool because there's so many of these mallards coming in mid-flight. Most of them are really sharp, so there's a lot of detail for us to see. So Vicky, I would try to tone down those highlights a little bit. I think it would give us a little more insight and allow us to look at more detail in the image itself. But I do like the painterly quality of it, and I think that if you tone that down a little bit, you're not going to lose that. You still will have that painterly quality to it.
And these guys move fast. I mean, I was working on a bird project. I wish I knew about this place, Vicky. I look at the gesture here. This is really cool. It's like that Madonna look. Look at all the different gestures. So this is, from even like a scientific standpoint. You have all these. Look at this gesture here. I just love this image. So good for you. I might have, rather than including this, I don't know if it was possible. There may be just, like tons of birds down the bottom, but maybe not cutting off these guys. But anyway, this has a nice painterly look, whereas in the next shot, this is just, this is like very bright, like a high key image. And this is like a low key image, Judy Lindau. Look at this beautiful shot. I love the way. We're talking about interaction a lot. We have interaction here. We have interaction here, interaction here. Interaction here. Got a little interaction with Jim shots there with the dog, but I think the interaction between these guys, these swans, is just amazing. Look at the wings.
Yeah, I think that the spray definitely makes the image, and we look at these swans and people think, they're so placid and beautiful and whatnot, but they can be pretty mean birds. You definitely don't want to get too close to them because they may peck you, and they go after each other, especially if there's a male trying to go after, the mate of another male. And this guy in the front, because of that brown neck, it kind of tells me that he is an immature or a younger a bird and the one that's pecking him. So my guess is that this little adolescent swan was trying to come in between that adult and its mate and the guy, that older male was having none of it. But yeah, I love, especially with swans, doing those low-key images with a dark background really brings those swans out to light and highlights them. So nicely done. I love the spray of that water. Doesn't that look awesome?
It does. So again, it's the mood. Here we have the high key mood, painterly look, and here's like more of a documentary look. Okay, Ramesh from India. Well, again, we're talking about the mood. We have high key, we have low key, and now we have like black and white. I really like this. The action of the birds going here. I might have taken out this guy, but what do you think, Juan? I like that Ramesh did black and white, and he's very active here. So I don't know if he can watch because it's I think it's like 10 hours or 12 hours different over there. But it's really, he can watch on YouTube. But I really like this. I think it's a striking image. It caught my eye.
Yeah, I think that. So is that? I see your mouse on the left hand side. Is that a little bird at the top there in the middle? That is
This one?
that? Yeah. Yeah, I would think I would take that out because I think it breaks the line of the image. I love that line of those birds. I don't know what they are. It doesn't say what they are. And the fact that they're all all the wings are in different positions. So it almost looks like, one of those images where you put in all the different stages of a particular flight of one specific bird. But
that's what I thought.
Yeah, but it does look like, maybe a group that's migrating or flying from one place to another. And I love the black and white because it does look like he probably didn't have that great of a sky, right? So that is one of the techniques. But I would take that little bird up there because I think it distracts from the scene itself. I think what's really liking is that the starkness of it and the sweeping line.
I like this guy down here, and I like that he added we had this discussion last time, adding the foreground element. Some people might just like the birds, that we just have some birds coming up, but this adds like a nice sense of place. So Juan, you mentioned that you thought it was like the same bird, right?
Right. Yes. It kind of looks like the same bird.
Well, on that note, I was photographing motocross down in outside of Oldsmar, Florida, where Kelby is. And basically, what I did is I just panned. So here I'm taking the shots as that motocross guy, let me go back to 100%, is going past me. And then I just stitched them together like a panorama. So Tom Reese, here's a challenge. I know Tom Reese is good at all these montages and all these great. He's really good at Photoshop and cloning and copying and pasting and all this stuff. But for all our members, this is not a topic, but you may want to try it because again, this is one bird. I mean, this is several birds, but this is all the same guy. It's very easy to do. Just shoot the sequence and then stitch them together like a panorama in Photoshop or Lightroom or wherever, and create a fun image. Okay, Chuck Palmer. I really like this shot because this kind of shot you see like in an ad, right? For a bicycle or running shoes or for bikers. I think it's a very creative shot. A lot of people might say, okay, I'm going to get the whole subject in. But by not including the subject, you're like adding a sense of mystery to the picture. So and it has a lot of great action. So I think it's really cool that he included this in here.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think it almost looks like some sort of commercial image that you see in a magazine or something like that for some, I don't know, some pill to make you more active or whatever. But I do like the perspective of it as well, right? The fact that we're not seeing the entire subject. Definitely a purposeful crop, so that we know that this is how he meant to make the image. Nicely done.
Oh, so this is what I was talking about. Here it's a slow shutter speed, and only the subject is blurred. It might have been handheld, but if it was on a tripod, I think he'd probably had a good chance of getting it. Whereas in Mike's awesome picture, where's Mike's picture that we discussed? If I could find it, where is it? Where is it? Yeah. Okay, everything is blurred. So that you have the choice, blur the whole thing or just blur part of it. But I really think this is a cool shot. And we had a lot of motocross and bicycle shots. I think Steve did a great job capturing the action here. The background is beautiful. We could see the face. So it's just like a freeze. We have the motion in some of these, but the like here, we have the motion in this one, but here. So again, it's up to you. It's up to you what you want to do. Do you want to add a sense of motion or just want to freeze the action? And here he used 1/25th, 2,500th of a second.
Yeah, that nice shot again. You know, I love these action shots. I love this topic because, you know, it just shows all the techniques that people are using. And, you know, one of the challenges with this is that this is hard to do. You require a lot of practice, a lot of patience, and throwing out a lot of images, right? Because you're not going to get all of those. You know, tracking these guys as they're jumping and doing their little acrobatics can be crazy. And this is crazy. I used to race motorcycles, but I would never do something like this.
You did?
Oh yeah. I raced motorcycles for many years.
You have pictures?
I probably do somewhere. Yeah.
Film?
Yes. This was a long time ago.
Alec, we have to get Juan to do that. Anyway, to do this, what you want to do is you really want to have your camera on, you know, AI servo or focus tracking. What do they call it on Sony cameras, Juan?
Continuous.
Continuous focus.
Yep.
Yeah, with one shot, you might miss a shot like this, or you might miss some of these action shots. So that's the key. Set your camera on rapid frame advance and make sure your focus point is on the subject. Well, you talked about the mood in, if I could go back to this picture here, we're saying, you know, a lot of people, you know, they concentrate on getting the slow shutter speed and they forget about the composition. Well, look at this one. This is just beautiful composition. And Steve, not an easy shot to get. Right, Juan, with the backlit. Look at the backlit. We have this nice detail in the wings here. Really a beauty. And I think Steve has more than one. Steve has more than one shot here. And again, we pick these pictures without looking at the names because we just pick them on what we can learn. We try to share different tips for each picture.
You know, I mean, and you guys have heard me say this before. Birds in flight photography is one of the hardest things you can do in photography. They're really challenging to follow and keep them in focus, and you know, it takes the best autofocus system to do that. And, you know, skimmers also fly really fast. They're just incredible, agile flyers. And I've never seen an image like this where they look like they're going after each other. Again, kind of, you know, being one aggressive against the other. Your typical skimmer shot is when they're skimming on the water with the lower mandible skimming on the water trying to catch some fish. But this is remarkable. The fact that these two guys have their beaks open, that kind of going after each other, calling after each other, and the backlighting, how it's really making those feathers, you know, really come alive. But we still have quite a bit of texture on that backside of the bird. So this is incredible, Stephen. This is, you know, one of my favorite images I've ever seen of black skimmers. This is really, really awesome.
It's really good. Now, I wonder if if he's shooting on automatic mode, if he reduced the exposure a little, because if you're shooting on automatic mode here, all this dark area might fool the meter, and this would be overexposed. So the key is when you're doing this, you really want to preserve these highlights either by, you know, checking your histogram, you know, if you're taking some test shots, checking your highlight alert. But it's this, you know, that we can see detail here, I think is just super, super wonderful.
So, hey, Rick, go back to the skimmers again, because, you know, situations like this, in order to capture this the right way, you definitely want to be in manual mode. With birds in flight is, you know, I think it's really important to be on manual mode because, you know, as you're panning and following that bird, if your background is changing, the light in the background is changing, your exposure is going to be changing quite a bit. So what you want to do in a situation like this is figure out what the right exposure for the bird is, and set it in manual, and just track that bird, and then let the background fall where it may. So in a situation like this, hopefully what Stephen did was he set the exposure for what? For the highlights. We always say that, right? Expose for the highlights.
Expose for the highlights.
So he exposed for the highlights on those feathers, and then everything else, you know, let it go where it's going to fall, and then do the editing in Lightroom or Photoshop afterwards to bring out the shadows out.
So he's shooting at 560 millimeters. I don't know if he was on it. Oh, it says handheld. So you know how fast these guys move, right? So Steve has a pretty good eye, you know, and some skill tracking these. The other tip here is, and I've seen Juan do this, when you're photographing birds or a lot of these action subjects, you want to shoot with both eyes open, if possible, right? Like, so if you're shooting with your right eye, so you could see what else is going on in the frame. If you look at the sidelines of football games and tennis games, you can see the photographers. They're shooting with both eyes open so they could see what might come into the frame to either help or not help the photo. Carolyn Fox is one of our founding members. We talked about Juan's shot here, going back to this amazing shot, photographing at the peak of action. Carolyn Fox definitely shot here at the peak of action to get this smoke in here. So I think aiming, setting a goal to get at the peak, get the shot at the peak of action is a noble goal.
Yeah, this, before I read the description, I should have known that Carolyn got this in West Yellowstone. But this reminded me of the Stocks in Fort Worth, where they do events like this, right? The Stockyards in Fort Worth. Yeah, I remember last time I was there, which I think I was out there with you when you and I were doing something together.
Yeah, that's right. We did that, right.
And I saw a little girl that was probably, 12 years old doing this, doing this shooting event where they go in a horse and they put these balloons on posts and they have to run this course while at the same time shooting out the balloons. So it's an incredible amount of fun. And I think, like you said, that Carolyn, you really capture here the peak of action. I think it would be silly, some people would say when they look at this image that, I'm not seeing what they're shooting at. But, I think in most cases they're shooting balloons. So I think it would have been silly to include the balloon in there, right?
Yeah, it's good. It's really a cool shot. And Juan is being modest, by the way, for the people who have been following Juan in the group. He said he was riding, you used to ride motocross, right? But he also used to do this. Juan has an affinity for Yellowstone. You do these Yellowstone workshops, right? And I think this is what drew you to Yellowstone, riding the horses, shooting the balloons, right?
Yeah. I used to ride horses when I was little, but not shooting balloons, no.
Okay, Robert, look at Robert's shot here. Not only is it a beautiful shot, we had a lot of plane shots, so it was really hard to choose all the plane shots. But I like the way he put the frame around it. Mike Cullivan does this a lot. I like the way he puts his logo down here. It looks like his logo's down here. But look at the action. Look at the movement. Look at the trails here. I think Bob did a wonderful job. Again, exposing for the highlights, which is the same thing as Ted Johnson did here. Look at this loop-de-loop.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. Both of these are really amazing. I guess I never noticed this, but you see the plane in the foreground in the lead is not trailing any smoke. I guess it's because it's got one right behind it. But then the other one doing the loop-de-loop, was that Robert also? Both of them?
Oh no, this is Ted Johnson.
Yeah. Very, very cool. Yeah, this is, if you ever have one of these events near your home, they're really neat to see. And I love the fact that how they both captured these curves in the scene, because that kind of leads your eye, right, going around?
Yes, especially this one. This is nice, going at an angle. But I think Ted did a really cool job here. So speaking of action, Juan, you've been here, Bandon Beach, right?
Yeah.
We were doing a workshop, I think it was the year before. Whoa, my mic was going down. The year before last. So if you go to Bandon Beach, my guess is, unless you happen upon a workshop where they've hired a horse and rider, to go back and forth 20 times until everyone gets a shot, you're not going to see this. So this is a set of shots. So what we did is we picked the background. Susan hired the rider, Michaela, and we said go. And what I like about this is, all the hooves are off the ground. She has great intensity with this nice golden light. And he says, I laughed more on the trip than I ever remembered. We had so much fun. Glenn, right, Juan?
Of course, yes.
I forget how we met, how you met Glenn. But anyway, he's shooting here at ISO 800 at 2,000th of a second. When I'm photographing action, I don't know about you, Juan, maybe you could share your tips. I wouldn't use a shutter speed if I want a really sharp shot slower than 1,000th of a second to get all this in here.
Yeah, I mean, to get that the water frozen in time, definitely shooting around the 2000s, 1500 at the very slowest. To me, I want to go a little higher if possible to make sure that everything is nice and very sharp. And by the way, I met Glenn. He came with me on a workshop, and when I was doing the waterfalls of North Carolina workshops, I believe that's one of the first time I met Glenn, and then met Glenn at Photoshop World, a couple other events as well. And you and I have done these kinds of shots down in California, right? And so, this is challenging to get all those four hooves off of the ground. You have to take quite a few shots in order to be able to get that. And then get all the other elements in there. It's just like any kind of action photography. You have to shoot quite a bit and then look through those frames to find where everything comes together. The action, for example, in this image, the expression of the rider, the pose of the rider, the hooves up in the air, where the tail is. That tail could have been behind the horse that it was galloping. Right. So you got to pay attention and shoot more than you think you're going to need, for this fast action photography, because some of the shots, a lot of the shots are not going to work. You're going to pull one or two gems out of, a bunch of images that just don't work. So, but the light here is beautiful. I love the light, and you have an incredible background as well. This image is, perfection.
Yes. And if Alex Morley is listening, he's responsible for our Oregon Coast workshops. Actually, Juan, I don't know if you were there when I met him in Bosque, but anyway, he was showing some Oregon pictures, and he inspired me to do workshops. I think I did 5 workshops. Susan and I did 5 workshops with him. But just a quick tip here: when you're photographing a subject at a beach, when Michaela went by the first time, her head and the horse's head were like being lost in the rocks. So what we had to do is we had to get down low. We get down low. So the height at which you photograph can make a big difference. Quick tip is like if Glenn was standing up and this was going through her neck, you basically would be decapitating her with the background. So it sounds funny, but that's what I always say. Don't decapitate the subject with the background. But the isolation is really important, like we saw in Phyllis. Where's Phyllis Webster's picture? Yeah, where the rider's up in the separated from the background there. So the background is always, and Juan talks about this, and we talked about. I keep going back to the shot because I love it so much. If one had been down and there's trees going through it, it wouldn't have the same impact.
Yeah, the neat thing, that's super important. I want to emphasize that, Rick, again, because the backgrounds are going to make or break your image, right? You want a background that is complementary or supportive of your image, not one that is detracting the viewer from the image. And, one of the things I like to say is that, I could have an incredible subject in front of me, but if the background doesn't work, doesn't complement my subject, I may not take a shot at all because the image is not going to work. Now, if it was Sasquatch or the Yeti, I would take it no matter what the background was. But, if it's, those bears and the background was not working for me, I would try to find another place to make the image.
Absolutely. So speaking of that, again, we're showing these to give some ideas. Here, this is a cool shot. Diane Gordon took this on one of my workshops. I think it was on one of my workshops. I think it would have been a little cooler if she had been down a little lower. But like you said, sometimes the action happens so